Have you ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors? I'm not talking about political scandals. I'm talking about something much older, much more terrifying. My name is Marcus Thompson, or at least that was the name I used when my life had meaning. Today, I am a voice in the darkness, trying to warn you. I was a Royal Guard, and what I witnessed, the horror I felt watching that scene, became a nightmare that haunts my dreams every night. Have you ever wondered why the Royal Guards are so silent? Why none of them speak? You think it's just discipline, just duty? You're wrong. Fear. Pure, primal fear. But the real shock hadn't even begun yet. What I witnessed that night at Windsor Castle was just the beginning. The story I'm going to tell you tonight is about a guard bearing witness to the darkest secrets of the Royal Palace. What I saw still haunts me. This is a warning, because they are still there, still feeding, still consuming, still hunting. Being a Royal Guard was every Englishman's dream. After 18 years of service in the British Army, I achieved the honor of serving in the Grenadier Guards. The bearskin hat taller than me, the traditional red coat. Of course, I wasn't one of those silent, motionless guards tourists took pictures of. I was in the Special Security Unit. Night shift. Night shift. This is very important, because the real work is done at night. The day shift is for ceremonies, for tourists, for cameras. The night shift, however, is for the real thing. On my first night on duty, Senior Sergeant James Mitchell pulled me aside. He was a man with 25 years of experience, a weary look in his eyes. His face was deeply lined, as if he had carried a heavy burden for years. "Listen to me, kid," he said, a strange tremor in his voice. "If you want to survive in this job, you need to learn some rules. The unwritten rules." I listened intently. In the Army, you learned to heed the words of your superiors. Rule number 1, if you're on duty at a royal family's private dinner, keep your eyes down. See nothing. Rule number 2, if you see a servant named Justin Lee, help him. The kid's on the right path, but in danger. Rule number 3. He lowered his voice even further. And this is the most important. When you see the blue plate, get away. Get away immediately. The blue plate, Sergeant? What blue plate? James's face turned pale. The lapis lazuli plate. If you see it, it means you shouldn't be there. And being there could be deadly. Those words stuck in my head. What did the blue plate have to do with anything? Why could a plate be so dangerous? I'll never forget that night. It was my first watch, and I was walking through the long corridors of Windsor Castle. After midnight, the atmosphere of the palace changed completely. The magnificent, touristy atmosphere of the day gave way to a cold, spine-chilling silence. At exactly 1:30 a.m., I was patrolling the lower floor when I heard a familiar voice from the servants' corridor. A young, excited voice. I approached and saw Justin Lee. He was about 25 years old, a skinny, ambitious-looking servant. He was polishing the silverware. "Hey," I said quietly. "You're Justin, right?" He flinched and looked up. "Yes, sir. I believe. You're Sergeant Marcus, one of the new guards." "That's right. Sergeant James mentioned you. He told me to be careful." A strange look came over Justin's face. Careful? Why? At that moment, heavy footsteps came from the other end of the corridor. We both fell silent and listened. The sounds were getting closer. Instinctively, I pulled Justin into a nearby empty room and opened the door slightly. 3 people passed down the corridor. In front was Edward Campbell, the palace's personnel manager. Behind him were 2 senior officials I didn't recognize. They were speaking in low voices, but I could hear their words clearly. "How is Parker's source holding up?" Campbell asked. "It's depleting faster than expected. Maybe it can last another 2 weeks," said the other. "Then we need to start looking for a replacement. We need to find someone with the same resonance." Parker source. Resonance? What did that mean? I looked at Justin. His face was white as a sheet. There was fear in his eyes, but also an effort to understand. After the voices faded, we left the room. Justin spoke in a trembling voice. "Marcus, you heard that too, right? They said Parker source. They're talking about Benjamin Parker, the young art historian at the palace. Do you know him?" "Yes, he arrived 6 months ago. He was very lively, energetic, but lately he looks ill, pale, weakened. The doctors say he has a rare form of anemia." A strange feeling came over me. "Justin, when do you usually see this Benjamin?" "We run into each other in the hallways. Sometimes, but I hadn't really noticed, so why do you ask?" "Nothing, just curious." But my curiosity had grown. The next day, I waited for an opportunity to see Benjamin Parker. In the afternoon, I saw him in the East Wing, near the library. It was just as Justin had described. I didn't know what he looked like 6 months ago, but he certainly didn't look well now. Pale, sunken cheeks, dark circles under his eyes. He looked very tired for a 25-year-old man. "Sir," I called out. "You're Benjamin Parker, aren't you?" "I'm Marcus, one of the guards." He lifted his head and looked at me. His eyes were dull. "Yes, it's me. Is there a problem?" "No, sir, I just wanted to meet you." "How are your studies going?" A weary smile. "Fine, I suppose. Just a little tired. I guess this palace air is getting to me." He tried to smile, but it was faint. "Take care of yourself, sir. I recommend you see the palace doctors." "I already have. It's a special type of anemia. I'm being treated." That evening I found Sergeant James. "James, I need to ask you something about Benjamin Parker." His face immediately turned serious. He looked around, made sure no one was there, and then spoke. "Do you know that boy?" "I just saw him. He looks very sick." James took a deep breath. "Marcus, I'm going to show you something, but you mustn't tell anyone what you see. Do you understand?" I nodded. "There's a special dinner tomorrow night. Prince Charles will be dining with his guests. You're on security duty, but whatever you do, don't look at them when the main course is served." "Why?" "Because seeing certain things changes a person, Marcus, and you're not ready yet." When the next evening came, I took my place at the venue for the dinner. The private dining room was one of the most beautiful rooms in the palace. Crystal chandeliers, antique furniture, expensive paintings on the walls. 6 people would be seated at the table, Prince Charles and 5 important guests. Justin was also part of the service team. I kept watching him. He looked nervous. His hands were shaking. He almost dropped a plate while setting them out. The first courses went smoothly. Soup, salad, appetizers. It was like a normal meal. But when they brought the main course, the atmosphere suddenly changed. The dish looked strange. I had never seen anything like it before. It was pale, almost transparent. It was decorated with dark herbs I didn't recognize. And the smell. Metallic, but also sweet. The strangest thing was the plate. It was completely different from the rest of the tableware. Dark blue, almost black. So this was the lapis lazuli plate James had mentioned. Justin's foot slipped slightly as he placed the plate in front of Charles. He leaned on a nearby chair to keep his balance. At that moment, his eyes looked up for a second and met Charles's. Charles was caught in that moment, bringing his fork to his mouth. And what I saw then. God, that look is unforgettable. Those weren't the eyes of a normal person. They were the eyes of a predator. There was such hunger, such desire. It was as if he was gaining strength as he ate. The lines of fatigue on his face softened. His skin began to glow. It was as if he was being renewed, rejuvenated in real time. But the most terrifying part was the hunger in that gaze. It wasn't physical hunger. It was something much deeper, much older. It was as if he was sucking the soul, the life energy, out of someone. It lasted only a second. Charles blinked. That intense gaze vanished, and he was Prince Charles again. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and continued talking to his guests, but Justin had seen it. I could tell. His face was ashen, his hands trembling as he cleared the plates. When the meal was over, the staff retreated to the kitchen. I found Justin. He was sitting in a corner, his head in his hands. "Justin, are you okay?" He lifted his head. His eyes were filled with fear. "Marcus, did you see that? Did you see that look?" "I did," I said quietly, "and you're beginning to understand what Sergeant James's warning meant." "This isn't normal," he whispered. "A person doesn't eat like that, doesn't look like that. He seemed to be getting stronger." "Justin, you need to be very careful. Don't talk to anyone about this. But Benjamin Parker, this meal has something to do with him being sick, doesn't it?" A terrible suspicion began to grow inside me. "What do you mean?" "I don't know, but this can't be a coincidence. Benjamin is sick, and Charles, he seems to be getting stronger. I couldn't sleep that night." Justin's words kept running through my head. The next day, I saw Benjamin Parker again. He looked even worse than the day before. It was as if he had aged and faded even more overnight. I found Sergeant James. "James, what's this story about the blue plate? Tell me the truth." A long silence, then a deep sigh. "Marcus, I've been here for 30 years. And for 30 years, I've been the keeper of this secret. But now you've seen it. And once you've seen it, there's no turning back." "What do you mean?" "The royal family. They're not like normal people, Marcus. They feed on a much older, much darker power. They consume the life energy of young, talented people. Benjamin Parker wasn't the first. Before him, there was a young musician named Sarah. Before her, a brilliant mathematician named Thomas. My stomach churned. You knew about this and you didn't do anything. What could I have done? Who would I tell? Who would believe me? And most importantly," he lowered his voice, "those who oppose it, they disappear." These words had a chilling effect on me. They disappear. I had a friend named Frank Peterson. He was like you. He asked a lot of questions. One night he died of a heart attack. He was 35 years old and a healthy man. The fear inside me grew. "James, what about Benjamin Parker?" "I don't know, Marcus. But if this continues, it won't be long." After that day, I began to watch Benjamin closely. Every day he grew a little paler, a little weaker. He had to lean against the walls as he walked down the hallways. The light of life in his eyes began to fade. And Charles seemed stronger and more vibrant every day. It was as if he was gaining the energy Benjamin was losing. Justin and I talked often now. He had noticed the same things. "Marcus," he said one day, "I've been doing some research. There's a small symbol on the bottom of the lapis lazuli plate. A pelican figure." "A pelican?" "Yes, a pelican piercing its chest to feed its young. But in this case, it's as if they're drinking the blood of others." This information disturbed me even more. "Justin, be very careful. Sergeant James warned me. Those who investigate these matters too deeply." "I know," he cut me off, "but it's too late now. I've seen too much. And Benjamin is dying, Marcus. Someone has to do something." He was right. Benjamin was indeed dying. He was fading away a little more each day. But what could we do? We were both just small cogs, lost pieces in a giant machine. A week later, something terrible happened. Sergeant James died. The official explanation was a heart attack, but everyone who knew him was shocked. He was a healthy man, exercised regularly, didn't smoke. I ran into Justin at the funeral. We were both thinking the same thing. James had talked too much, and the price was death. "Marcus," Justin whispered, "James died before me, but he left. You a message? Locker 37, basement service level." He said to look there. That night, I went down to the basement service level. I found locker 37. The door was open. Inside was an old, worn diary. James's diary. I took it, trembling, and brought it to my room. Reading the diary took all night. James had recorded everything. Dozens of names, dates, details. Sarah before Benjamin Parker, Thomas before her, Michael before that. A long list. All young, all talented, all struck down by mysterious illnesses and dead. The most terrifying part was James's final entry. "Marcus and Justin learned too much. They figured it out. God help us." This section ends here. Details I must remember: Marcus, guard; Justin, servant; Benjamin Parker, victim; Sergeant James, deceased guard; Edward Campbell, personnel manager; lapis lazuli blue plate; pelican; symbol; life energy consumption; royal family feeding ritual. The next morning when I woke up, my world had completely changed. The information in James's diary kept spinning around in my head. This wasn't just about Benjamin Parker. It was a systematic hunt that had been going on for decades. I found Justin. He had deep circles under his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't slept either. "Marcus, I discovered something else last night," he whispered. I went to the kitchen and observed Michael Green. Michael Green was the palace's private chef. He only prepared the most special meals for the royal family. He was a quiet, melancholic man. What did you see? He uses a special kitchen for that blue plate, a separate hidden place, and the ingredients he uses. "Marcus, these aren't normal cooking ingredients." A terrible suspicion arose within me. "What do you mean?" "I don't know exactly, but I think something was taken from Benjamin. Blood samples, maybe, or something worse. If you're listening to this story and feeling the same horror I did, know that this is only the beginning, because their network is much larger, much more complex." That afternoon I saw Benjamin again. He now had to hold on to the wall to walk. His face was so pale, it was as if the blood had drained from him. I went over to him. "Sir, how are you feeling?" He opened his eyes with difficulty. "Marcus, isn't it? I feel terrible. The doctors want to do more tests, but I know I won't get better." "Why do you think that?" "Because this illness isn't natural. In my dreams I see a dark garden. A shadow with a crown approaches me, not to harm me, but to drink my light. It's as if all my color, all my warmth is flowing into it." These words sent a chill down my spine. Benjamin understood what was happening in his subconscious. But no one would believe him. "Benjamin," I said carefully, "I need to ask you something. Do they serve you special meals at the palace? On a blue plate, for example?" His eyes suddenly widened. "How did you know?" Yes, they bring a special meal twice a week. It's very tasty, but every time I eat it, I feel even more exhausted. Now it was certain. Those meals were a means to drain Benjamin's energy. They were weakening him, sucking out his life force. "Benjamin, stop eating those meals," I said urgently. But the palace doctors said this special diet is necessary for treatment, a specially formulated nutritional supplement for anemia. Of course they said that. A perfect excuse to deceive Benjamin. That evening, I found Justin. I spoke with Benjamin. He's eating from that blue plate twice a week, and each time he gets worse. Justin's face darkened. So our guess was right. "Marcus, we have to do something about this." "What can we do? We're just two small cogs in a very big system. Maybe. But at least we can warn Benjamin. We can stop him from eating those meals." He was right. At least we could save one life. The next day, I found Benjamin again. I had decided to tell him the truth. "Benjamin, what I'm about to tell you will sound very strange. But listen, to me, those special meals are killing you." "What do you mean, Marcus?" "The royal family. They're not like normal people. They consume the life energy of young, talented people. You're one of their victims." Benjamin looked at me in shock. This is ridiculous. Things like that can't be real." "Then what about the crowned shadow in your dreams? What about that dark garden?" At my words, Benjamin's face changed. How do you know?" "Because it's true, Benjamin. And if you want to live, you must never eat those meals again." That night, I visited Benjamin's room. When he opened the door, he looked much better. Some color had returned to his cheeks. "Marcus, you were right. Today I refused to eat that special meal, and I feel much better. Good. But you need to be careful. They will try to pressure you. They already did. The doctor came and said this diet is vital. But I refused. If you suspect the powerful ones in this story, look around you more carefully, because they are everywhere, and their network is vast." 3 days later, the terrible news came. Benjamin Parker had been found dead in his room. The official explanation was heart failure, but the truth I knew was very different. I found Justin. We were both in shock. "They killed him," he whispered. "They killed him because he refused to eat. Or they force-fed him one last time," I said sadly. "Either way, Benjamin is gone. I couldn't sleep that night." Benjamin's death showed how serious everything was. This wasn't just a matter of nutrition. This was a system where anyone who resisted was destroyed. The next morning, Edward Campbell called me in. When I went to his office, I saw a file on his desk. My name was on it. "Marcus," he said coldly, "I hear you were a close friend of Benjamin Parker." "I only knew him, sir." A sad loss. Indeed. He was a young, talented man, but unfortunately his illness overcame him. He fixed his eyes on me. "You're very curious, Marcus. You ask too many questions." My stomach clenched. "I'm just trying to do my job, sir." "Of course, but too much curiosity about certain things can be unhealthy. You remember Sergeant James, don't you? He was very curious, too." This was a clear threat. I understood. "I'm transferring you to another position, Marcus. Day shift, tourists, ceremonies, much more secure." I was being taken off the night shift. I wouldn't see those secret meetings, those private dinners anymore. But at the same time, I was being distanced from them. "I understand, sir. When do I start?" "Right away. Pack your things and go to your new assignment." As I left the office, I was confronted with a terrible truth. They knew everything. They were watching me, listening to me. And Justin was still in danger. I had to find him. I found Justin in the servants' corridor. I explained the situation to him. They've put me on the day shift. It's a clear message. We got too close. Justin's face paled. What about me? I'm still on the night shift. You have to be very careful. Don't ask any questions. Don't show any curiosity. Just appear to be an ordinary servant. But Marcus, they killed Benjamin. Who's next? We both knew the answer to that question. The next victim would be chosen. Someone young, talented, defenseless. Justin, if someone new arrives, let me know immediately. We'll try to warn them. 2 weeks passed on the day shift. Tourists, official visits, ordinary routines. But EO no longer knew what happened at night. This uncertainty was driving me crazy. Finally, Justin contacted me. Marcus, there's someone new, a young museum specialist named Emma Watson. Very bright, very energetic. And guess what? She's been put on the special feeding program. The cycle was starting again. A new victim had been chosen. That night I saw Emma Watson. She looked a lot like Benjamin, 26 years old, a sparkle in her eyes, full of excitement. She had no idea what was coming. Think about it. Do you have such young talents around you? People who are treated specially but fade over time, because their net isn't limited to palaces. I waited for an opportunity to approach Emma. The next afternoon I found her in the library. Miss Watson, I'm Marcus, from the Guards. How is your work going? She greeted me with a smile. It's going very well. This palace's collection is incredibly rich. I also have a very special nutrition program, recommended by a special dietitian. My heart sank. It had already begun. A special diet? Yes, twice a week. They bring me very specially prepared meals. They're delicious and nutritious. They give me energy. They didn't give her energy. They took it away. But Emma didn't know that yet. Ms. Watson, I'm going to tell you something that might sound strange. Be careful with those special meals. What do you mean? I wanted to tell her the truth, but she wouldn't believe me. Like Benjamin, she would reject it at first. Just keep track of the changes in your body. If you feel tired or exhausted, stop eating those meals. Emma looked at me in shock. I don't understand. Why are you saying this? Because strange things are happening in this palace, and I care about your safety. That evening I met up with Justin. I told him I'd spoken to Emma. Do you believe her? He asked. I don't know, but Benjamin didn't believe me at first either. Maybe he'll understand in time. What if he doesn't? Then Benjamin's fate awaits him. Details I added to my memory in this section. Emma Watson, new victim. Michael Green, cook. Secret kitchen, Benjamin's dreams. Edward Campbell's threat. Assignment to the day shift. The cycle starting again. A week later, the first signs began to appear in Emma Watson. The pinkish color on her cheeks was fading, and faint purple circles were starting to appear under her eyes. But it was still too early. Maybe we could help her. Justin and I made a plan. We have to be more proactive this time, he said. We couldn't save Benjamin, but we can save Emma. What do you have in mind? We need to get into the kitchen where those special meals are prepared. Maybe we'll find evidence, or at least understand how it works. It was a risky plan, but Emma's life was in danger. That night was Justin's shift. I snuck into the palace, too. When we reached the special kitchen in the lower floors, Michael Green was still working. We watched secretly, and what I saw... God, this couldn't be real. Michael Green was using some kind of distillation device. There was a reddish liquid inside. But the source of this liquid was some kind of biological sample. It looked like a mixture of blood, hair, and bodily fluids. "Are these Benjamin's samples?" Justin whispered. "Probably. They had been processing. Samples taken from Benjamin for months, producing some kind of life concentrate from him. When Michael Green finished the process, the resulting substance was pale and translucent. It was just like that mysterious meal Charles had eaten." "Now we understand," Justin whispered. "They really are consuming life energy. They're doing it scientifically. Have you ever wondered why some rich and powerful people look so vibrant, despite their age? Maybe, like in this story, they feed off the energy of others." As we left the kitchen, Michael Green saw us. The expression on his face wasn't fear. It was sadness. It was as if he regretted what he had done. But he had no other choice. "Who are you?" he asked, in a low voice. "Just two curious people," I said. "Michael, are you doing this willingly?" He bowed his head. "I've been working here for 30 years. At first I didn't know. I thought I was just preparing special meals. But over time, I understood." "Then why do you continue?" "Because I can't stop. They control everything, and I'm dependent on them now." That last sentence was very meaningful. The system imprisoned not only its victims, but also its enforcers. The next day, I found Emma Watson. She looked noticeably pale now. "Ms. Watson, how are you feeling?" "A little tired," she said weakly. "Those special meals are very filling, but afterwards I always feel exhausted. I told you, stop eating those meals, but the doctor is very insistent. He says this diet is therapeutic for the mineral deficiency in my body." The same lie again. But this time, I would try a different approach. "Emma, I'm going to show you something, but you'll be very surprised." I took her near Michael Green's kitchen. Through the door, I showed her that horrible laboratory. "What is this?" she asked, in astonishment. "This is where those special meals prepared for you are made. And the raw materials, samples taken from you." Emma's face turned pale. "What do you mean?" "The doctor takes blood tests, hair samples, saliva samples from you, right? They all come here, and they extract your life energy and feed it to others." At my words, Emma staggered. That's impossible. Things like that can't be real." "Did you know Benjamin Parker?" "Yes, he worked here before me. He was a very talented young man, but he got sick and he died after going through the same process, after eating the same special meals." Emma was now speaking in a trembling voice. Are you telling the truth?" "Unfortunately, yes. And if you want to live, you will never eat those meals again." That night, Emma made up her mind. When the doctor came the next day, she refused the special meals, just like Benjamin. And as you might guess, 3 days later, Emma Watson was found dead in her room. The official cause of death was sudden organ failure. The second death. When I found Justin, we were both very upset. We lost 2 people, Marcus. We couldn't save 2 young people. But at least we learned the truth. Now we know how it works. So what are we going to do? Wait for the 3rd victim? Before I could answer that question, something else terrible happened. That night, Edward Campbell called me again. "Marcus," he said in a cold voice, "you've been very active lately. You spoke with Emma Watson. You were seen in that special kitchen area." My heartbeat quickened. "Were they watching us?" "Sir, you're just very curious." He cut me off. "Like Sergeant James, like Benjamin Parker, like Emma Watson. They were all very curious. Now he was openly threatening me. "Marcus, I'm giving you one last chance. Either you give up this curiosity completely, or you'll share Benjamin and Emma's fate." "I understand, sir. I hope you really understand. Because next time, we won't talk. We'll take direct action." After this conversation, I was panicking. They could decide to kill me. I found Justin and explained the situation. "Marcus, this is getting too dangerous. Maybe we should quit." "No," I said firmly. "2 people are dead. How many more are we going to let die?" But the truth was, there was nothing we could do. The system was too big, too powerful. We were just 2 small cogs in it. That night, sitting at home, I made a terrifying discovery. I was watching the news on TV. Charles had attended a charity event, but something else caught my attention. On the screen, one of the officials standing next to Charles had a small pin on his lapel. A pelican figure, just like Justin had described. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't limited to the Royal Palace. It was a much larger network. I started researching, online, in old records, in historical documents, and I found it. The pelican symbol wasn't just here. It was the emblem of powerful families, institutions, and organizations all over the world. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Rothschild family, some European aristocratic dynasties, even NASA's old logo had this pelican figure. This couldn't be a coincidence. It was a global network. Everyone listening to this story should ask themselves, what about the powerful people in your country? Do they have such secret rituals too? Because power works the same way everywhere. A week later, a new victim arrived. This time it was a young archaeologist named David Miller. Again, the same profile. Young, talented, energetic. We talked with Justin. "What are we going to do this time?" he asked. "This time we'll try something different," I said. "Instead of warning David, we'll try to sabotage the system from within." "How?" "I'll talk to Michael Green. I'll try to convince him." A few days later, I found my chance. I caught Michael Green alone. "Michael, I need to talk to you." He looked at me fearfully. You're the guard who saw that night." "Yes. And I have a request. Quit this job." "I can't. They'll kill me." "Then at least sabotage it. Put in harmless but ineffective substances in the food. Delay the victims' deaths." Michael thought for a long time. "I could maybe do it, but it's too risky. David Miller's life is in danger, and after him, someone else will come. It will go on and on." Finally, he agreed. I might be able to delay it for a few weeks, but not forever. It was a small glimmer of hope. Maybe we could save David, and it really worked. The special meals given to David Miller weren't as effective as before. He was still weakening, but much more slowly. David stayed alive for 2 months. This meant the system lasted much longer than expected, but eventually it was noticed. One morning they found Michael Green's body in the kitchen. The official explanation was an accident, but we both knew the truth. With Michael Green's death, David Miller's fate was sealed. A new cook was brought in, and the system returned to normal. A week later, David died too. The 3rd death. We were now completely alone. Justin and I were facing a huge system, and the system was winning. Details added to my memory in this section: Emma Watson's death, Michael Green's laboratory, life concentrate production, the pelican symbol of the global network, David Miller, the 3rd victim, Michael Green's sabotage and death. After David Miller's death, Justin and I were completely helpless. We had lost 3 people. The system was winning every time. but giving up was not an option. One night, Justin called me urgently. "Marcus, I've discovered something terrible. I got into the archives, and I found it." "What did you find?" "The old records. This isn't just something that's been happening in recent years, Marcus. It's been going on for decades, since the 1960s, maybe even longer." The next day, I looked at the files Justin had found. It was truly terrifying. Dozens of names, dozens of young talents, all the same pattern. Young people with bright futures, assigned to special duties at the palace, falling ill with mysterious diseases, dying. In 1962, Sarah Williams, a young musician. In 1965, Thomas Bradford, a mathematical genius. In 1968, Maria Gonzalez, an artist. The list went on and on. "This is an industry, Justin," I said in horror. "They are systematically hunting down, consuming, and destroying young talent. And none of them get justice. All their deaths are explained away as natural causes." But the most shocking discovery was something else. An old photograph I found among the files. From 1970, a group photo taken with the royal family, and one of the people in the photo was Edward Campbell. But how could that be? If he was there in 1970, he should be at least 75 years old now. Yet Campbell looked no more than 50. "Justin, is this possible? How could Campbell look so young at this age?" Justin's face darkened. "Marcus, I think we know the answer. Campbell isn't just an implementer of the system. He's also a beneficiary." Now we understood. The system wasn't just for the royal family. Key people in their inner circle also benefited from this life energy. If you're curious while listening to this story, observe the powerful people around you who are old but look very fit. Maybe they have secret methods, too. After this discovery, we did more detailed research, and we learned something else terrible. This system had international connections. In the 1980s, young American artists were invited to England, enrolled in special training programs, and died shortly after. In the 1990s, it was French, German, and Italian youths. In the 2000s, Asian talents. It was a global operation. "Marcus," Justin said one evening, "we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here. The real system is much bigger." He was right. But what could we do? 2 weeks later, a new victim arrived. This time it was a Russian musical prodigy named Anna Petrov. 23 years old, a piano virtuoso, graduated from the Moscow Conservatory, achieved worldwide success. And as you might guess, she was also put on the special nutrition program. This time, we decided to try a different approach. Instead of warning Anna directly, we focused on gathering evidence. Justin started secretly, taking photos during the night shift. The special kitchen, the lapis lazuli plate, the distillation devices. The new chef was continuing the same process. "If we gather enough evidence," Justin said, "we can leak it to the outside." To whom? Who will believe us? Who will stand up to such a powerful system? Maybe no one. But at least we'll have tried. We started monitoring Anna Petrov's condition. The first week, she was very energetic and lively. The second week, a slight pallor. The third week, noticeable, weakening. The fourth week, it almost resembled Benjamin Parker's final days. Meanwhile, we were also observing Charles. And what we saw was terrifying. As Anna weakened, Charles grew stronger, younger. The lines on his face diminished. His skin gained radiance. "This can't be real," Justin murmured. "Can one person steal another's life energy like this?" But we saw it with our own eyes. The life force Anna was losing was passing directly into Charles. By the 5th week, Anna was struggling to stand. She had given up her music studies and was bedridden. I went to see her that night. She was very weak, struggling to speak. "Anna, how are you feeling?" "Terrible, Marcus. It's as if everything inside me is being pulled out, sucked out. In my dreams, there's a dark figure. It's draining me. The same dream. The one Benjamin had seen, the one Emma had described. This couldn't be a coincidence. Anna, stop eating those special meals." "But the doctor—" "Forget the doctor. Those meals are killing you." Anna looked at him in shock. "What are you saying?" I explained it to her briefly, about Benjamin, Emma, David, the system, the process. At first she didn't believe me, but then she thought about her dreams, her feelings, and she understood. "Marcus, this can't be real. But it actually makes sense. I feel worse every day." "Refuse those meals tomorrow. No matter what they say, don't eat them." Anna agreed, but we knew it wouldn't save her. Like the previous victims, she would be force-fed or killed outright. The next day, Anna refused the special meals. At 7 in the evening, she was summoned to Edward Campbell's office. And that night, screams were heard from Anna's room. Justin and I ran. Anna was lying on the floor, having a seizure. Foam was coming from her mouth. "Call a doctor." A maid shouted, but it was too late. Anna Petrov died that night. The official cause of death was heart failure, the 4th death. That night Justin and I sat and cried. We had lost 4 people. We hadn't been able to save any of them. "Marcus, we're failures. We can't do anything." "No, Justin, we're not failures. The system is too powerful, but we won't give up." "Then what will we do? Wait for the 5th victim?" That question stuck in my mind. What could we really do? The next day, something terrible happened again. Edward Campbell called me in again. This time, it wasn't a threat, but an offer. "Marcus," he said, "you're a very talented young man. You're very observant. I appreciate those qualities." "Thank you, sir. I'm going to make you an offer. Be part of this system you're so curious about. Work with us." This was something I hadn't expected. "What do you mean, sir?" "You already know everything, Marcus. The system, the process, the purpose. Now there are 2 options. Either be with us, or be like Anna." It was a clear threat, but it was also an opportunity to learn more about the system. What will I do if I accept? You'll find new victims. You'll evaluate them, test their suitability. And of course, you'll benefit from the system too. He was talking about sharing life energy. He wanted to make me one of them. "Can you give me some time to think about it, sir?" "Of course, but not too long. Until tomorrow morning." When I left the office, my head was spinning. What was behind this offer? Did they really want to include me in the system, or was it a trap? I found Justin and explained the situation. "This could be an opportunity," he said. "We can destroy the system from the inside, or we could fall into a trap and both die. We have to take the risk, Marcus. There's no other option now. I didn't sleep that night. If I accepted, I could learn more about the system, but I would also be selling my soul. What would you do? Would you join the system and destroy it from the inside, or would you resist and risk death?" By morning, I had made my decision. Details added to my memory in this section. The system that has been in place since the 1960s, Edward Campbell's 1970. Photo, international connections, Anna Petrov, The fourth victim, Campbell's offer, the plan to destroy it from within. When I stood before Edward Campbell that morning, I had made my decision. I accept, sir. I want to be part of the system. Campbell looked pleased. A wise choice, Marcus. We won't disappoint you. So what will I have to do? First, you'll need to evaluate the new candidates. You'll observe them, test their suitability. Each candidate has different characteristics: age, talent, energy level, resilience. You'll analyze all of them. From these words, I understood that the system worked in a much more organized, much more scientific way. Second, Campbell continued, maintaining confidentiality will be your responsibility. If there are curious people like Justin, you will need to keep them in check. He had mentioned Justin, so they were tracking him too. Understand, sir. When do I start? Right away. A new candidate is coming. A Chinese art historian named Sophie Chen, very talented, very energetic. She will be your first evaluation case. My heart sank. The fifth victim was coming, and I was now part of the system. That day, I found Justin and explained the situation. I accepted the offer. I said, "Why, Marcus? It's too risky." "Because we have no other choice now. We can't intervene from the outside. We'll try from the inside." "So what's the plan?" "I'll try to protect Sophie Chen, but I have to be very careful. If I arouse suspicion, they'll kill us both." Anyone listening to this conversation might wonder, how would you act in such situations? Would you rebel against the system, or would you conform to survive? 2 days later, Sophie Chen arrived. She was 26 years old, a very lively, very intelligent woman, a graduate of one of China's most prestigious universities, an expert in European art history. Campbell introduced me to her. "Marcus, meet Sophie, show her around the palace, help her get oriented." Talking to Sophie, I could see how innocent, how excited she was. She was thrilled to have the opportunity to work in England, but she had no idea what was coming. "Marcus, this palace is magnificent," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Working here is a dream come true." "Sophie," I said carefully, "there are very specific rules here. It's very important that you follow them." "What kind of rules?" "Health rules. The doctors will recommend a special diet for you. Be very careful about that." "Why? Is there a problem?" "It's just, some of our previous employees had health issues. It's better to be careful." Sophie looked surprised, but didn't ask any more questions. A week later, as expected, Sophie was offered a special diet plan, and as expected, she accepted. I was there. The day the first special meal was served, I was sitting at Charles's table. At Campbell's request, I had been introduced as the new member of the system. Seeing that lapis lazuli plate again made my stomach churn. It contained that same pale, transparent substance, but this time it was produced from Sophie's life energy. When Charles brought the fork to his mouth, I observed the same change. That predatory gaze, that surge of strength. But this time, I was at the table too. "Marcus," said Charles, "would you like to try some?" My heart stopped. He wanted me to eat it too. "Thank you, I don't think I'm ready yet." I understand. It can be a little difficult at first, but once you get used to it, you'll feel stronger than anything you could ever imagine. These words revealed how the system worked. Not only the royal family, but also those close to them benefited from this life energy. After the meal, Campbell pulled me aside. "What are your observations?" Sophie's energy is very strong. She's very suitable for the system. Very good. Keep a close eye on her. Report any changes in her condition. Report. Now I was serving the system, too. Over the next few days, I began to observe the changes in Sophie. The first week was very slight. The second week was a little more noticeable. The third week, symptoms reminiscent of Benjamin. Meanwhile, Justin and I were meeting secretly. "How are you going to protect Sophie?" he asked. "I don't know yet. But I have to think of something. Marcus, there's not much time left. Sophie is weakening fast." He was right. I had to act immediately. That night, I made a risky decision. I went to Sophie's room. "Sophie, I need to talk to you about something important." "What is it, Marcus?" "About those special meals. They're making you sick." Sophie looked at me in shock. "What do you mean?" I told her about Benjamin, Emma, David, Anna, the system, the process, the truth. Her first reaction was denial. "That's impossible, Marcus. Things like that can't be real." "Sophie, how do you feel? Do you feel strong or weak after eating those meals?" Sophie thought. "Actually, I feel very tired every time. It's like I'm losing energy." "That's why. They're stealing your life energy." I asked her about the dream details so she could understand. "Do you have dark dreams? Does a crowned figure steal things from you?" Her face went pale. How do you know?" "Because everyone has the same dream, Sophie. This dream is real. That crowned figure is Charles, and he's draining your life energy." Sophie began to believe. "So what can I do?" "You must refuse those meals, but be careful. The others who refused were killed." "Killed?" "Yes. We lost 4 people. But I'll give you one more chance, because I'm inside the system now." Sophie looked at him fearfully. Are you one of them too?" "No. I'm trying to save you. But we have to be very careful. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, it can be very difficult to tell who is trustworthy and who is not. Sometimes, friends within the enemy can be your greatest hope." The next day, Sophie refused her special meals. As I expected, Campbell called immediately. "Marcus, there's a problem with Sophie Chen. She's refusing her treatment meals." "Sir, I can talk to her. Maybe I can convince her." "Good idea. You handle it." I went to her side under the pretext of talking to Sophie. "Sophie, trust me. Come to the small door in the back garden at 11 p.m. tonight. I'll get you out from there." "But how?" "I have a plan. Just trust me." That night I carried out my plan. I got Sophie out through the back door. But this wasn't an escape. It was a ploy to trap the system. After taking Sophie to a safe place, I returned. To appear sincere to Campbell, I ran to him in a panic. "Sir, Sophie Chen is missing. She's not in her room." Campbell's face darkened. "How did she disappear?" "I don't know, sir. Maybe she tried to escape." "Find her, Marcus. Find her immediately. She can't have gone far. Of course, I couldn't find her, because Sophie was in a safe place." This situation had put the system in trouble for the first time. The victim had escaped and couldn't be found. 3 days later, Campbell called me again. This time, he was very angry. "Marcus, we couldn't find Sophie Chen. This was your first task, and you failed." "I'm sorry, sir. Maybe we can find another candidate." "No, Marcus. I now doubt your loyalty. Maybe you helped Sophie." My heart sank. He was starting to suspect me. "Sir, there's no way I would do such a thing. I am loyal to the system." "I hope so, Marcus, because if you continue to act suspiciously, you'll end up like Anna Petrov." It was a clear threat. That night I found Justin. I rescued Sophie, but Campbell is suspicious. We need to be very careful. Marcus, this is too risky. Maybe we should bring Sophie back. No, at least we saved one person. This can continue. But I was wrong. The system was much stronger. Details added to my memory in this section. Campbell's offer accepted. Sophie Chen, 5th victim. Protection plan from within the system. Dining experience with Charles. Sophie's abduction. Campbell's suspicion. A week later, everything was turned upside down. After Sophie Chen disappeared, the system went into alarm mode, and I was now the prime suspect. That morning, Edward Campbell called me in for the last time. But this time, he wasn't alone in his office. 2 security guards were there, too. "Marcus," he said in a cold voice, "you helped Sophie Chen escape." "No, sir. I didn't do anything like that." "You're lying, and the price for lying will be heavy." My heart sank. The masks were off now. "We questioned Justin Lee, too," Campbell continued. "He was just as curious as you, but now they're both out of the picture." He was talking about Justin in the past tense. My heart stopped. "What did you do to Justin?" "We'll do the same to you, Marcus. But first, I'm offering you another option." There was a blue plate on the table. Inside was that horrible pale substance. "Either you eat this and become a real part of the system, or you'll end up like Anna Petrov." This was my last chance. Either I would start consuming life energy and give up my soul, or I would die. What would you do? Would you give up your soul to stay alive? "Sir, can you give me some time to think?" "No, Marcus. The time to decide is now. Right now." At that moment, a clever plan came to mind. "All right, sir. I accept." Campbell looked pleased. "Smart choice." I reached for the plate, but then something unexpected happened. The fire alarm went off. Taking advantage of the commotion, I dropped the plate and started running. Security guards came after me, but I knew the palace corridors very well. I ran to the lower floors, to the old place where Justin and I used to meet. And there I found him. He was injured, but alive. "Marcus, did you escape too?" "Justin, I thought they killed you." "They almost did, but I managed to escape at the last moment." "Did you set off the fire alarm?" "Yes, to save you." At that moment we heard footsteps. They had found us. "We have to get out of here fast," I said. We left the palace through the back service exit. We started running through the streets of London. We could hear voices behind us, but we were faster than them. An hour later, we stopped in a safe place. We were by the Thames River, under an old pier. "Marcus," Justin said breathlessly, "it's all over now. We're fugitives now. They'll be looking for us everywhere." "So what are we going to do?" "We'll tell the world the truth. Maybe no one will believe us, but at least we'll try." Justin was right. We had nothing left to lose. Over the next few days, we started writing the truth in internet cafes, to journalists, bloggers, and social media accounts. But as we expected, no one believed us. "Two crazy men," they said. "Conspiracy theory," they said. "Silly fantasies," they said. But we kept writing. A month later, we received terrible news. Sophie Chen had been found dead in China. Officially, it was a heart attack, but we knew the truth. We thought we had saved her, but the system was so powerful that it reached all the way to China and found her there, too. "Marcus," Justin said that night, "we can't do anything. They're everywhere." He was right. But we couldn't give up. For 6 months, we lived secret lives, with fake identities, cash, constantly moving from city to city. Every day we continued to write our new story, and slowly, some people began to believe us. Few, but real. A small community formed on the internet, people with similar experiences who observed similar things. If you listening to this story also notice strange things happening around you, know that you are not alone. The victims of this system are not only those who are directly targeted, sometimes witnesses are too. A year later, Justin fell ill. This time it was a real illness. Stress, poor living conditions, and constant fear had worn his body down. "Marcus," he said in his final days, "our story is unfinished, but don't give up. People need to know." After losing Justin, I was left alone. But I kept my promise. I kept writing. Today, 5 years later, I'm still here, still telling the story, still warning people. Has the system changed? I don't know. Maybe they work more carefully now. Maybe they're more secretive. But one thing is certain. They're still there. Still feeding, still consuming, still hunting. Young talent. And you. By listening to this story, you now know something. This knowledge makes you strong, but it also makes you a target. Be careful. Look around you. Observe people who are powerful, but look much younger than their age. Follow young talents who fall prey to mysterious illnesses. And remember, whenever you see the pelican symbol, know that it is no coincidence. This is my story. The story of Marcus Thompson, the Royal Guard, Benjamin Parker, Emma Watson, David Miller, Anna Petrov, Sophie Chen. They are not just names. They are victims of this system. And if this story disappears tomorrow, you will know why. Because they are masters of silence. Masters of erasing the truth. But you listened. You know now. And maybe, just maybe, one day this knowledge will be useful. Take care. And remember, the truth is always darker. If this story affected you, share it. Let people know. Because knowledge is power, and power should not be in their hands alone. This is Marcus Thompson's final message. If you never hear from me again, you know why. Stay safe. Details added to my memory in this section. Campbell's final threat, the escape plan, Justin's rescue, Sophie's death in China, a year of living in hiding, Justin's illness and death. The situation 5 years later, the end of the story, and the warning.